Have you ever wondered what you'd do if your vacation suddenly turned into an unexpected journey to a different country? Picture this. You're on Pan American Flight 914, departing from New York to Miami on a sunny day in July 1955. The plane is filled with 57 passengers, all eager to trade the hustle and bustle of New York for the warm beaches and swaying palm trees of Miami. The plane takes off smoothly, the cityscape shrinking below as you ascend into the clear blue sky. But 3 hours later, when you should be descending towards Miami, Flight 914 is nowhere to be found. The control tower in Miami scans their radars, but there's no sign of an approaching aircraft, and no distress signals have been received. Confused, they contact the New York tower, only to find that Flight 914 has vanished from their radars as well. From thousands of feet in the air to the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean below, there's no trace of the plane or its passengers. Communication attempts are made, but all efforts fail. The DC-4, along with its 61 souls on board, seems to have disappeared into thin air. An investigation is initiated immediately. The flight route suggests a possible crash in the Atlantic Ocean, but despite extensive rescue efforts, no wreckage is found. Investigators are left scratching their heads, unable to provide answers to the grieving relatives of the passengers. Finally, with no other explanation at hand, they conclude that Flight 914 must have crashed, claiming the lives of all on board. But despite this conclusion, questions remain. Where did the plane go? Why was there no sign of a crash? And most importantly, could the passengers still be alive? Despite grieving relatives' questions, the mystery of Flight 914 remained unsolved, at least until 37 years later. Fast forward to September 9, 1992, in Caracas, Venezuela. The air was thick with the ordinary humdrum of aviation activity. Juan de la Corte, an air traffic controller, was sitting in his usual spot in the control tower. His eyes scanned the glowing radar screen, watching for the familiar blips of incoming and outgoing aircraft. Suddenly, an anomaly appeared. A mysterious dot materialized on the screen, an unannounced aircraft seemingly appearing out of the blue. De la Corte's heart skipped a beat. He sat up straighter in his chair, his eyes squinting at the screen in disbelief. The mysterious dot came closer, taking a more defined shape. It was an aircraft, but not just any aircraft. It was a vintage DC-4 McDonnell Douglas, a model long retired from commercial use. Its propellers churned the air, a nostalgic echo from the past amidst the hum of modern jet engines. Confusion turned into utter disbelief when the pilot made contact. The voice crackling over the radio spoke fluent English, a stark contrast to the usual Spanish accents de la Corte was accustomed to. And then, the pilot dropped a bombshell that sent shivers down de la Corte's spine. The voice identified the aircraft as Pan Am Flight 914, a flight that had disappeared without a trace 37 years ago. The pilot's voice was calm, almost nonchalant, as he asked for directions to Miami, claiming their scheduled landing was on July 2, 1955. The room fell into stunned silence. De la Corte stared at the radar screen, his mind whirling. The date was September 9, 1992. The plane was a DC-4 McDonnell Douglas, a model retired decades ago. The pilot claimed to be from a flight that had disappeared 37 years ago. None of this made sense. The air traffic control was bewildered as the pilot claimed their scheduled landing in Miami on July 2, 1955. This unexpected arrival of a long-lost flight was about to take an even more baffling turn. Confused but cautious, air control allowed the plane to land safely. The vintage DC-4 McDonnell Douglas aircraft, a relic from a different era, touched down on the tarmac, its wheels screeching as they made contact. The moment was steeped in a strange sense of unreality, as if time had looped back on itself. The tension in the control tower was palpable. The air traffic controller, Juan de la Corte, took a deep breath and picked up the microphone. In a steady voice, he informed the pilot that the date was September 9, 1992. The response was a long silence, followed by a disbelieving chuckle. The pilot insisted that it was July 2, 1955, and they were due to land in Miami, not Caracas. As the ground crew approached the plane, the engines roared back to life. There was a moment of stunned silence in the control tower. The plane, without any clearance, began to taxi towards the runway. The controllers scrambled, trying to make sense of the situation. They attempted to establish contact, but their efforts were in vain. The DC-4 picked up speed, barreling down the runway before lifting off into the blue Venezuelan sky. The controllers could only watch, their eyes glued to the radar screen. But soon the blip that represented Flight 914 started to fade. Despite their frantic efforts to communicate, the plane disappeared from both sight and radar, as if swallowed up by the sky. The control tower was left in a state of shock. The impossible had just happened. A plane that had been missing for 37 years had just landed and taken off again, leaving more questions than answers. Despite attempts to communicate, the plane vanished from sight and radar, leaving air control in shock. The authenticity of this event is disputed, with its origins traced back to 1985 tabloid coverage. The tale of Flight 914 has been passed down through the years, earning its status as an urban legend. It's a story that has both baffled and fascinated many, a narrative that has blurred the lines between reality and fiction. The controversy surrounding the event is as intriguing as the event itself, with skeptics and believers locked in an endless debate. Adding fuel to the fire of speculation is an artifact, a pocket calendar from 1955, allegedly left behind during the plane's mysterious departure. This piece of evidence, although cryptic, continues to pique the curiosity of internet sleuths, sparking numerous theories and conjectures. The truth remains elusive, leaving the story in the realm of uncertainty, a tall tale or perhaps a concealed reality of time travel.